Hello, welcome everyone to the HireMyVA Team and Business Building Podcast, brought to you by ugozi.com. And in this podcast and HireMyVA, we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank. And that means your bank, which is the most important bank for you. Hey, I'm Dave Braun, and I'm here with my buddy Larry Broughton. We've been hosting this podcast for a while. Larry, I was going through a flashpoint today, and talk about that. I was going through a flashpoint, and they talked about who's inspiring you, and you are one of the people I put down.
Thank you, handsome Dave. Inspires me. We've been doing this for a while. We did another podcast for a while called Flashpoints for Achievers, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it morphed into this. But you still make me laugh every flipping time we do this. I don't know why. We've known each other for a long time, but you're such a goof.
I know.
Handsome Dave, you inspire me too. And I was just saying, you're such a good teacher.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad to be partners with you and to be on this journey together. It's inspiring to see that when we spend a little bit of time with some of these entrepreneurs, leaders, and high achievers that we run with and rub elbows with, to see them make changes in their lives, to see transformation happen, to see them face obstacles and be able to persevere and defy the odds towards success, whatever that means for them. We just talked about this one gentleman who's got a lot of stuff going on, and his businesses were created to serve other people.
Yes.
It's such an honor to be available to help those folks and to pay it forward. I would encourage folks who are listening to this or watching this, what are you doing in your life to serve other people? What are you doing to pay it forward? What are you doing, with the information and lessons that you've learned in your life? Are you hoarding those great ideas, those lessons, or are you paying those forward and sharing them with other people?
Yeah. Are you inspiring others?
Yeah.
To become better people?
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Dave, for inspiring me as well. I love you. I appreciate you.
Me too.
Sometimes it's just these little laughs that I get from you by being such a dork half the time.
Oh, I know. It's too much fun.
Yes, it's too much fun. All right, let's dive into this, because we've been talking about habits. We started with episode 115, and we're now, I think this is episode 117. So I'd encourage you, if you just stumbled on this one, you can just listen to this first because this is a standalone, but go back and listen to 115 and 116 as well. And I think we're probably going to do one more after this, probably 118, and we'll be able to wrap up this whole topic on habits, developing habits, breaking bad habits, developing keystone habits, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, and that's the topic for today, is what are 5 good habits to have entering 2022. And it really is entering any year and
it's season.
Yeah, any season, but it's a good time for you to start thinking about your habits, establishing them, how are you going to break them? Because like we talked about, the importance in 115 is how much of our brain activity, our decision-making activity is just automatic. What we do is automatic so much.
Yeah.
And we talked in 116 about creating and breaking habits. That was a good one. That was a really good one. We had a lot of great examples. But this one, what we're going to do is we're going to give you our thoughts on what we feel are the top habits that we think are important for you and us to continue to establish. And Charles Duhigg, the author of Power of Habit, has a good name for that. He calls it Keystone Habits. And Larry, how many people have we talked to, and especially you? How many high achievers have you met with, leaders? How many people have you seen being successful in their businesses in life? I mean, there's probably thousands that you've talked to, right? And that you've known.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way they get this, but, oh, by the way, not only have I spent time with these folks who have developed good habits, I've spent a good part of my life around people who have had bad habits and who have hit bottom because of those bad habits, right? And so this thing that we're going to be talking about today is going to be a little bit reflective, okay? And we're going to share with you some of these 5 keystone habits that we think are really super important. But one way I think, Dave, just to kind of describe this is that a keystone habit means that this is a central habit that's going to affect or govern some of the other key habits.
That's right.
Do. Okay, that's what it. I want to make sure that we understand that we're talking about the same thing here. And these are really important because when you develop these good keystone habits, it's going to affect all these other areas of your life. It's like this chain reaction, this chain of events are going to happen, right? That's going to develop positive outcomes.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, conversely, you may have bad keystone habits. It's going to affect other things like, gosh, I want to stop cigarette smoking, but I keep smoking crack. I can't figure out why am I losing all of my money and stealing from people, which turns into bad habits. But, maybe one of those keystone habits is let's stop smoking crack, Dave, please. Yep. Finally, once and for all. Okay.
Okay. I'll work on that. I'll work on that. Let me go back and re-listen to what we talked about in 116.
I shouldn't be joking around about that. But the stuff that we're talking about is
cracking me up.
Yeah. Yeah. That one didn't work, Dave. I'm sorry.
Rewind.
Sorry. Daphne, edit that out, please.
No. Don't you dare.
All right. So let's get into this, Dave. Let's talk about keystone habits.
Yeah. And I think, Larry, what's helpful is when we talk about the different areas, I mean, you've developed over the course of years what we call a spider graph, which talks about 8 key areas of our lives that we can use to just kind of separate in our thinking how we can improve upon or how we're doing in those areas. Because, we talk about having, somewhat of a balanced life, because if you are, a monster physically, but your financial house is in ruin, I mean, how are you really going to be affecting and having great significance to people's lives?
Yeah, so let me give me a 15-second background. Yeah. What I used to do when I started mentoring and coaching folks years ago, it was all about the financial and professional health in their life, and couldn't figure out, like, well, gosh, frankly, it was kind of came to a head when there's a professional guru out there that folks in our tribe know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to name the name. And that's all he was doing. In fact, he had an accountability partner who was a mutual friend of mine. And you would know this guru. And he didn't even know that this friend of mine was went through a divorce, went through an ugly breakup, separation and divorce. And he wasn't even aware of it. But that impacts every part of your life. Right. And so this is when we developed this whole health spider graph. And so I realized over the years, Dave, is that there's really 8 spans that if we can set positive goals and habits in these areas, then we tend to live a pretty awesome life that's close to nirvana. And that's our physical health, our financial health, our professional health, our leisure and fun. Right. We oftentimes forget that. Our mental health, spiritual health, family health, and friends. I think that's 8. Okay. Physical, financial, professional, leisure and fun, mental, spiritual, family, and friends.
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. So those are the areas. Okay. Well, let's talk about a few of those habits.
Okay.
The keystone habits and things that we want you guys to establish. And of course, we want to reinforce on our own. That's one of the reasons why we do this. Yeah. So Larry, I think one of the top ones is having a regular exercise routine. So it's a keystone habit in the physical area, regular exercise, because, I don't know about you, but most people, when they exercise, they feel they get better. So they get more self-confidence, they have more energy, they have a better mental outlook on life. There's been studies that show that exercise helps with depression.
That's right.
I mean, it just spills over into so many areas. In fact, one of the books that I've got in the back, I didn't grab it, is called Brain Rules. And they talk about certain routines that will actually help you stave off dementia and Alzheimer's. What he says in the book is that exercise is the magic pill when it comes to our mental health.
Yeah, I was talking to a clinical psychiatrist the other day, and this is what he said. He said, if I could get all of my patients to exercise 3 days a week, I wouldn't have patients any longer. It's that important. Okay, he says it's that, and we're going to talk about this one as well, is a keystone habit. But this one of the keystone habits that's most important, that's everyone talks about, not just success seekers, but psychiatrists, psychologists, is the power of exercise. Getting those dopamine hits in your brain staves off depression, increases creativity. You've got the energy to put in longer days, because all these studies that have been done, Dave, on success in this quote unquote wage gap, what it comes down to is stamina.
Yeah.
How many hours can I put in? That's what's going to separate low achievers versus high achievers. Sometimes it's just, do you have the physical stamina to do it? But as you said, as people get healthier, they become more competent.
Yep.
Right. And confidence is contagious for sure.
And as we exercise, we sleep better, and we know that rest
Right.
and sleep helps us recover so that we can process the day before.
That's right.
Gives us more energy for the future and just helps us live
That's
better
right.
lives. So go back to one of the other episodes, 116, and go through how you can start developing an exercise habit. So if you're watching this, but I'll describe it, you can see in my background here is my chair.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like my exercise jacket I wear, every day I exercise.
It stinks like high heaven right now, but smell it over here. You do wash it. Yes.
Oh, of course, yeah. Once it starts standing up on its own, then I wash it. But the thing about it, we set up our environments for these habits, just to reemphasize that. I look at that, right behind me, right there, and it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to exercising tomorrow when I do that.
My friends, we cannot emphasize this enough. The power of exercise. That's a keystone to all these other areas of your life. Okay, now friends, we have had coaching clients who have been a couple 100 pounds overweight, and they knew it. And I'm not saying start hitting the gym 6 days a week, 3 on, 1 off, 3 on. That's not what we're saying. Start small, dream big, but move fast. Take action today. It might mean that you're going to go walk around the block.
Right.
It might mean that if the grocery store is a block away, instead of getting in the car to drive there, you walk there. Mm-hmm. Okay. It might be that, on any phone right now, it has a basic health app, and it will measure the number of steps you take. And I remember during the most difficult time of the pandemic, there were times, Dave, you and I talked about this. I wasn't doing 400 steps a day. Okay. And I used to do at least 10,000 steps a day. But what I was doing is I'd get up, I'd go take a shower, I'd walk to my desk. I might let the dog out, and I'd sit at my desk all day working, and what happened? My health went down. My emotional state was hit because of it. But just start doing something. Try to get a few hundred steps in if you're not doing anything right now.
Yeah, so I've got this app, and this is about designing the habits. You talk about steps, as I have a pedometer app. One of the reasons why I use this particular app, if you can see it in the video, if you're listening, you can't see it. But Larry, you can see it. It's got green when I've exceeded my goal for the day. And then it goes from orange to yellow, or red to orange. But then what happens is when I exceed my goal for the day, you know what the app does?
Yippee.
Yeah, it does that. And it has all these like stars that come up and all that stuff. Right. So I'm using this.
It's the gamification.
Exactly. I'm rewarding myself. I get a little, when I see that, it's like, I did a good job.
Another dopamine
on the back.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's setting up the environment. And we talked about that in one of the previous episodes. So yeah, exercise is huge. Let's talk about another one, Larry.
I think this one transcends so much, and it's hard for a lot of people, but it's just journaling. Mm-hmm. We really encourage people in their morning routine, or even if their evening routine, to journal. I know a lot of people who just started journaling, Dave, and it's turned into like, okay, I'm going to write 1,000 words a day and I'm going to turn it into a book. But journaling can be anything. It can be about self-awareness. What ideas or thoughts or vibrations did I feel today? How am I feeling about myself, about love, about my life? Frankly, journaling could be about my diet. What am I eating? What's my exercise routine? What have been my work habits today? There's all kinds of things that you can journal about. One of the things that I love about this Flashpoints book, Dave, that you and I had put together, is that we offer people, it's basically how to start journaling. in this thing. We give somebody about 130 word missive on some topic on success and significance. And then at the bottom, we say, what are your reflections and intentions today? We just ask 3 questions. My thoughts and feeling on today's flashpoint include, and you fill it in. My intentions and action items today include, and you fill it in. And then today I'm grateful for. If you're to do that, just that little bit of journaling, plus being aware of your habits that you're creating or your responses to stimuli that you've received during the day, that's awesome journaling right there. You know, the Stoics talked about the brilliance and the greatness that happens in that fraction of a second between stimuli and our reaction to the stimuli, right? You start becoming aware of that. Oh my gosh, that thing that used to trigger me, now I take that extra pause and I'm responding differently now. That's something to actually talk about, right? So I think journaling, Dave, in addition to exercise, is one of those really powerful keystone habits that will impact all areas of your life.
Folks, you can start off with you don't have to you can buy the Flashpoints book, which is the best way to go. You can go to store.ugozi.com and get it. But if you want to get a free electronic kind of version where you can save it to your Evernote, which is what I do, you can go to ugozi.com/daily and sign up for it.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get started, and that comes in your inbox every day. You've already got the habit of looking at your email, so you can journal electronically. But doing it with a pen and paper is a good way to go. In fact, Larry, on when they've done studies on people who have journaled through their recovery from, say, a surgery like a knee surgery, knee replacement, or a hip replacement, those that have journaled through it and kind of make a plan through that journaling, they recover so much faster and get going better.
Very interesting. Not surprising, but that's interesting. Wow.
Because journaling leads so much to self-awareness.
That's right.
And that's a huge way to improve what we're doing. It's kind of like you're doing like a mini AAR every day.
Yeah. That's good. All right. What's another keystone, Dave?
Well, another one, if you guys have kids or a spouse or whatever, but having a family dinner as regular as possible. And that's a really great habit to have for your kids, because a lot of studies show that families who eat together, the kids are healthier, they're more socially adept, they do better at school, they just lead better lives. Something about getting together and eating as a family just brings a closeness, and having that security blanket in our lives is so important, where we can use that as a base to go out and take chances elsewhere.
Yeah. And all right, so Dave and Larry, but I'm single and I live by myself. What can I do? Well, guess what? So am I. Right. So what do we do about that, Dave? Well, every week, for folks who've listened to us for any length of time, know that every Wednesday, you and me and 2 of our other friends get together every Wednesday at 6:00. And what do? We have dinner.
Yes.
We don't drink beer and we don't smoke cigars and we don't shoot pool. No, we get together and we have dinner and we talk and we laugh and we build relationships with each other. In fact, we're recording this on a Thursday, and last night we talked about this, how good just the conversation was to build a bond among us last night. And then we spend time just having, a conversation and accountability kind of thing. It's so important. So don't use it as an excuse. I'm a single person. I'm not married. I'm by myself and you guys suck because you have kids or whatever. No. Studies have shown this, that it's the bonding stuff. It's the building of community stuff. It's the vetting of ideas, right? And I can tell you this, Dave, remember when we first started doing this, some of the conversations that would get heated, or some of the difficult conversations would get heated in the old days. And nowadays, everyone's got an open mind to it.
Yeah. We bring it up and we're pretty calm and relaxed. And
why? Because we still know that we're going to love each other no matter what the conversation, whatever your viewpoint is, you're going to be loved.
Yeah. And, Larry, no matter what happens out there during the week, that you come back on Wednesday and you've got some guys who love you.
Yeah, that's right.
And are in your corner, you know, and that's such an important base for, like I mentioned, to do great things. It really is.
Yeah. One of the other keystone habits, Dave, I think that is so minor, and I've been talking about this for years. And you remember that time I shared this before, where I actually got into a debate with someone about this. And now there's been a book written about it. And I learned about it, believe it or not, in the military. And that is to make your damn bed every day. Make your bed. Now, Admiral, what's his name, did a keynote or what was it? A graduation address or commencement address or something like that on it. But here's the thing that I learned. Yes, it's important in the military to make your bed because it teaches order and routine and all that kind of stuff. But what I talk about that I don't think the Admiral talked about is that you start your day off with a small victory when you make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're starting the day off right. At least you made your bed, right? Yes. But if you think about it, if you're a hard charger, if you're a high achiever, if you're a leader, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have failures throughout the day. In fact, oftentimes we have more failures than we do victories throughout the day, right? Because you're trying new things, you're innovating, you're pushing the envelope, you're making those calls that, most of the time say no before they ever say yes, right? And there have been times, Dave, where I've come home at the end of the day and I have not done anything right. I've made tons of mistakes. When I walk into my bedroom to take off my suit and I see, at least, Larry, you made your damn bed. I had one victory today, right? Yeah. But imagine that same day where I got beat up and turned down and denied and made mistakes and people were happy with me. And I walk into my bedroom and my bed's a mess too. You know what my message to me is? You're a effing loser. You can't even make your damn bed. Mm-hmm. That's the messaging, right? And so I'm a big believer. Just make your bed. Start out that way with that little victory. And there's a little bit of order in your life and you can build on that each and every day. I think that's an absolute keystone habit. And if you don't believe me, like this person did, that former coaching client, Dave, then do it for 30 days and then get back to me.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me how things are different. All right. Try it for 30 days. Her excuse was, well, but I sweat at night and then I get mites. I said, well, dust mites. Yeah, they have slip covers for your mattress for that. Okay. How about this? Pull your covers down, go brush your teeth, comb your hair, wash your face, take your shower, and then make your bed after that because your bed will have aired out at that point. Don't use it as an excuse, my friends. Okay. It's a small investment that has huge returns.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the next one, which we mentioned it before with, Brian Goodell and 72 Olympics and Michael Phelps, was visualization, how all top athletes do this. Well, if the top athletes are doing this and spending time doing this to achieve great things, why shouldn't we do the same thing in business settings? Why not visualize to yourself how a meeting is going to go, how you're going to execute on this particular task? Why not visualize that? Visualize how your day is going, as well as, assuming you're doing a little bit of goal setting, visualize your goals, how you're going to feel afterwards. That visualization, Larry, I wish I could explain it. I don't know what happens, but they have done studies where, now it's coming to me. They did a study about visualization where they took two groups of people shooting free throws.
Yes.
Okay? One ended up just doing a ton of practice. And then the others ended up not doing practice, but they visualized themselves shooting and making free throws. And it turned out, I think their results were pretty close to being the same. Yeah. Visualization is, a lot of times our bodies cannot tell the difference between when we actually visualizing it and when it's really happening.
But the key is this, and we talked about this, I think, in the last episode or the one before that, is that it's not just fantasizing and visualizing about the end goal, but you have to have the process path that you visualize as well. And the example I always use about this free throw one, if I were not if all I did is visualizing the ball going into the hoop, but I wasn't also visualizing that my elbow needs to be tucked as well, and then I'm also using my legs at the same time, I have to visualize the process path to get to that end result. Yeah. That's the difference between fantasy and visualization.
Right. So you're practicing in your mind.
That's right.
Almost as powerful as physically practicing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of those top 5 keystone habits, Dave, of having a morning or some kind of exercise routine that helps both physically, emotionally, creatively in your life is so stinking powerful. Journaling of some kind is really important, whether it's actually sitting down and writing about, the emotional process and vibrational process that you're having throughout the day, or maybe it's journaling your diet or your exercise is really important. Having some kind of community dining experience, or something about when you break bread and you feel your bodies together. I think it's almost a spiritual event. Maybe it's with your family and your children, or maybe it's with friends. I think it's so important. Making your damn bed is important. And then the fifth keystone here is visualization. These are really important habits. But Dave, I know you for a long time. You're always an overachiever, and you always over deliver. I'm going to bet you got some bonuses.
Yep. We're going to
don't let me down.
We're going to give you a few bonuses here.
All right, good. I was going to say, this would be the one time you say, well, actually, Larry, no, I don't. No bonuses today.
Sorry.
No bonuses for you. Okay. What bonuses do you have for us?
Well, one of them is understanding yourself and how you can boost your willpower. In other words, figuring out when for yourself, when are you at the best during the time of day? Because we're talking about habits.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you do your Colby A index. We've talked about that in a past episode, and your strengths finder assessment. But this is talking about on a daily basis. When are you the best at being creative? When are you at the best at decision making? When are you at the best of doing analytical or intricate, detailed work? Figuring that out, working at the right time of the day for you, and allocating those tasks or those days really ends up helping boost your willpower. A couple of other things along with that is creating some focus times for you during the day. We do that in our community, where we all get on together for an hour on a Zoom call. We get on and we say, here's what we're going to do, accomplish. Then we go silent for an hour. I give reminders. And then at the end, we come back and talk about what we did. People get amazing results, and the ones that come love it. Yeah. They love it. Yeah. And along with that is that'll help you boost your willpower is having some accountability, which is what we talked about in that focus time. But getting some accountability will help boost your willpower. If you have people that are going to ask you about how things are going or how you're doing, or you promise to do that, you'll make an extra push to get something done so that you can tell them in the affirmative that, I got it done.
That's good. Dude, let me throw a bonus out there. And we kind of alluded to it, or didn't allude to it. We actually talked about it in the last episode, I think it was. And that is this whole thing about setting up your environment for success. Because oftentimes we set our environment up for failure. Okay, I want to stop eating sugar, but I've got candy bowls sitting around my house, right? So it's setting up your environment for success. So get rid of the bad stuff, add the friction, right? And if it's good stuff, remove the friction. All right. So like there are a lot of these challenges out there, right? I'm going to read one book a month, or I'm going to read 10 pages a day, or I'm going to read a chapter, whatever it is. Well, if reading good books is important to you, then have that book at easy access. Mm-hmm. Don't have it on the bookshelf, have it out next to your chair where you're going to actually read. Yeah. Okay. So put friction between you and the bad habits, and remove the friction between you and the good habits that you want to develop. Exactly. Okay. So set up your environment for success. Yeah.
And there's something that I just realized, just recently that we talked about the different spider graph areas, the 8 different areas. One of the things that's so important from a financial perspective, both in your company and I think in your personal life, is to track your finances. Oh, of course. Doing that on a regular basis. Obviously doing it in your company, but one thing that I've personally done since 2010, I believe it has been on a monthly basis. I do my own personal net worth, my assets and liabilities, and I look at what that is. I look at kind of like my investment cash and all that. Mm-hmm. And it may help me make a decision to leave a financial advisor several years ago and go to another one who I'm tracking as well. Yeah. So though that's a habit that it doesn't take very long. Once a month I do it, 20 minutes, but it yields such great results.
Well, it's one of those keystone habits, because what do they say is the number one challenge among couples? Yeah. Most
money.
Come from money, right? Money. Yeah. What's the most significant problem in business? Money and cash flow. Yeah. Right. So what's measured is improved. on this. So I think that that would be a keystone habit. How much stress would leave your life if you had a better handle on your finances?
If you're just aware of them. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? Is because we have some coaching clients when they first come to us and they've never done a financial statement, and there's all kinds of stress around it. And then once we get them into some financial health and actually we're producing financial statements, say, well, gosh, two things. Either I'm worse off than I thought and now I can develop a plan, or I'm better off than I thought and I've been carrying all the stress around about it, right? And we've had clients who once they do their financial statements finally, they can go and get lines of credit that they never thought they could have had before. Right. What kind of relief does that offer to both their personal and professional life, right? So I think this is a good one, Dave. Thanks for thinking of that a keystone habit is getting some strong financial, track your finances. That's a good one.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of other habits that I don't know if they're keystone. I think they're good to develop.
Like what?
So a couple of them, like having some kind of a to-do system.
Sure.
Because you don't want to forget stuff that, somebody says, oh, I need you to do this. And you're like, I'm going to do that. But then if you don't do it, that affects your reputation, that affects your self-confidence, all that stuff. So have something where you can put something and kind of keep track of it.
Yeah.
And then of course, along with that, having a weekly date with yourself and planning out what's most important. You can do goal planning with that, or just a weekly plan of what you're going to do, how your week is going to go, how you're going to allocate your hours, how are you going to approach every day? What mantras are you going to use on a daily basis to help you? So just putting some goals together and thinking about, what you want to do. So you're not reacting as much, but you're being proactive with all of your time. That's
that's a good one. We were talking about exercise earlier, and we were talking about how the brain functions and all that kind of stuff. And it's oftentimes overlooked. It's one of the things that one of my goals over the next 12 weeks is improve my health. And one of the things that we oftentimes forget, but this is why now, more water.
Yep.
Okay. What this used to have, I'm not going to tell you what used to be in this thing all the time, but now this is filled with water all the time. So that I force myself to drink more water, right? The body is made up of mostly water, and the brain needs to function on water. Your kidneys need water to flush those toxins out, right? Drink more water. I think that ought to be a good goal for most people, because I forget, the doctor told me this when I was at the hospital recently, how little water most people drink. But they say, well, but I'm drinking coffee and tea, that's got water in it. Or I'm drinking Coke, that's got water in it. Coca-Cola. Yeah, no, that's not water.
Okay. Well, so maybe a new slogan or a mantra, we could take it off of Chick-fil-A, right? What did they say? Eat more chicken.
Yeah.
Drink more water.
Drink more water. That's a good one. All right. Well, those are our keystone goals. Is there anything we want to add onto this, Dave, or should we just go ahead and wrap it up?
I think the only other thing really quick, and maybe we can talk about this some other time in more detail, but try to do a practice called habit stacking.
Oh, what I mean by good. That, yes. Go.
Yeah. What I mean by that is you're doing kind of two habits at once, doing two things at once where it makes sense.
Yeah.
Typically, the way you would do this is like what I do is I've got my own fitness routines when I'm exercising in the morning. I've got an audio book going on or a podcast. So I'm learning at the same time that I'm doing my exercise routine. Now, you can't do that when you're starting out and learning. I don't recommend it. But at a certain point, you're going to be like, well, I like these routines. You can kind of habitually go through your workout routines if you're in the mode of wanting to be just doing maintenance.
Well, meal prep, for instance. I know that some goals we've seen from some of our clients, they want to start doing more meal prepping right now instead of eating garbage. And so while they're doing their meal prepping, they could be listening to a podcast.
Exactly.
At the same time. There's a lot of things you can do. But yeah, you've mentioned this before. I forget where we've read that. What book was that in? But the habit stacking thing is so important. Yeah, I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah, I know that. Like say you like to mow the lawn. I do that. You think, well, I could hire somebody to do that, but I don't mind doing it. It's like, okay, spend a little bit of time and I got something done, and it looks good. Yeah. But while I'm doing it, I'm typically listening to a podcast or a book and learning.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. Well, I think that's it, sir.
Great. Great.
All right.
Well, listen. Well, I was just going to say this. We've got one more episode of this, I think, Dave. I think we can wrap it up in episode 118, right? But habits are so important. Like we've talked about what are habits. What else did we talk about in, what was episode 116? We talked about creating lasting habits, right? And we've also talked about these 5 keystone habits. Let me give you a couple of extra bonuses. So number 118 is going to be what, Dave?
We're going to talk about how can you use a VA to help you establish your habits.
This is outsourcing habits that we're talking about. Yes, because a lot of habits we should have that we just frankly don't have time, skill, whatever to actually have. And so you actually outsource it. You hire someone to create those habits in your organization or your life.
Yeah. So I think that's going to kind of, it's all going to peak and fill up and flow into that next episode. So make sure you guys listen to that one.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being with us today. Remember, building a team is the way to reclaim your freedom. And of course, we're here to help you with our course and community and our white glove service, where we find a rockstar VA for you. So 3 things we'd love for you to do, and we really appreciate it. Number 1, subscribe to the podcast. Do it on your phone, which is great. Subscribe in YouTube. Hit the click on the button and the little bell next to it to get reminders. You should see that in the video here. Number 2 is give us a rating, 5-star, hopefully. Put a comment in our YouTube, underneath the YouTube video. Ask us a question. Maybe say what are some of your habits that have helped you really achieve what you've achieved in your life. So give us some of that feedback. And then number 3 is, of course, go to HireMyVA.com for more information on our course and community and our white glove service. Because without experience, even without experience, you guys, if you don't have any experience, if you're a solopreneur, if you've never hired anybody before, you can learn how to do that with us, with our course, with our community, can take advantage of our white glove service. We've got virtual assistants that you could even talk to in the community. So we're here to help you do that. Larry and I, Larry, we're helping folks left and right. And we got more people coming in our community. We'd love to have you guys join us as well. So come on board, but go to HireMyVA.com for more information.
That's right. Left and right, Dave. We're helping people. Left and right.
That's right.
Cats and dogs. That's right. Hey, folks, stop chasing success. Darn it.
Yeah.
It's going to leave you empty. It's going to leave you hollow, but do yourself a favor. Do the world a favor. Do something significant today. All right. Go do something significant. All right. God bless you. God keep you. God hold you. All right, my friends, go get them.
Okay.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.